Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the world of handheld electronic games, video games, back in the 80s. I'm sure everybody remembers them. Well, at least everybody from that time period. And of course everybody has their game of choice, and everybody remembers the ones that they had. Obviously, you know, a lot of these were in the, you could get these in different Christmas catalogs. These were big Christmas presents or birthday presents because they were pricey, but some weren't that bad. I mean, some of the crazier ones were a little pricey, but most of them were not super expensive, and so your parents or your relatives or even, you know, your friends sometimes would get you these games for gifts. I don't remember ever buying one. Well, let me take that back. No, I don't remember ever just buying one. They always were a game that you got. Like, you wanted it, you saw a commercial about it, you saw it in the Christmas catalog, and then you mentioned it, and then your parents kind of stored that information away. And suddenly, you know, Christmas morning, Christmas Eve, or your birthday, or Easter, or something, you know, suddenly the game would materialize. There's only one game that I know that I can remember that I wanted, and I didn't get it for a gift, and I don't even think I grabbed a picture of it, darn it. And I might have told this story before. I got in trouble too about it. It's, you know me, there's a whole story involved. The oldest one I can remember, I'm gonna get to. I got a bunch of pictures. They're all over the place for pictures and stuff. I should have went through the catalogs. I didn't have a lot of time today, so I kind of threw this together last minute. So we'll kind of just do like a cursory look. Like I said, I encourage you to send me comments and you know, and tell me the games, like stuff that I missed. Like, hey, what about blah blah blah? You know, because I'm not going to remember them all. I didn't have all of them either. I mean, I had probably, well, we'll go through, but I'm thinking I had about maybe 5 or 6 total between my sister and I. Yeah, so let's just kind of dive into it. Let's pull up what I've got so far here in my little list. Let me see. Let's put me over. Well, put me right there maybe, because over there will be the where the picture. And I didn't doctor these pictures up, so some of them might be small. So bear with me on that. Well, and it's the afternoon, so of course I've fallen asleep. So, like I said, the oldest one I can remember having was Digital Derby. Now you see it up there. Oh, I should split it up. Digital Derby. Now, and of course there it was. Now the reason I got this game was kind of weird. I probably told this story in one of the other videos, but I was at a friend's house, and this would have been, my parents were together. This would have been like, I want to say this was I want to say Christmas of '79. I think that's what it was. I was at my friend's house, or just a friend of the family, but there were kids, and they had a bunch of toys in the basement. They were in their basement, and they had this game. It was not Digital Derby, though. It was like it was weird. It was like a big kind of game board thing with like not a conveyor belt, but like a map, or like a road on like just a big piece of tape type of thing, like a vinyl thing, and it had rollers, and it would move, so it looks like obviously the road just keeps going, and then different spots in the road it would have, you know, like the paths and stuff. And they had this little motorcycle. Remember, I loved motorcycles back then, and it was on this little arm, and you had these 2 little handlebars, and then you would go, when you hit the throttle, the tape would move, so the motorcycle looks like it's going. And you could jump, woo, by pulling it up, and then you could turn it side and side, and you could follow the little path as the tape goes around. And I was enamored with this thing. And then I remember the parents and my mom talking and said, "Oh, I have to get him something like that for Christmas." And Anyways, they said, oh, yeah, there's a game out there he might like. It's the same thing but smaller. That's all I heard. Fast forward to Christmas, and I get this box, and I open this box up, and it's Digital Derby. Right off the bat, I like the box because, you know why? It looks like, for some reason, I always thought it was the thing on Darth Vader's chest. You know what I mean? You know, Darth Vader's got that thing on there. It's a 79, so, you know, Star Wars is pretty fresh in my mind. But you know that thing on his chest that he would wear? I always just assumed it as a kid, because, like I said, Han Solo's pants are made out of whale blubber. This is blubber pants. Anyways, this is, I just thought, oh yeah, that's Digital Derby on his chest. I swear to God, some of the theories kids come up with back when they were kids, just the weird stuff that you would just make these strange associations. But because the game was about yay big, and I remember, I think I even put it up to my chest once. I had this helmet that kind of looked like Darth Vader. I got a picture of it somewhere. You might even know that one black, like, space helmet. I used to put that on, and I remember I used to, I forgot how I did it. I think I took a belt. I had this little alphabet belt, little leather alphabet belt, and I put it around my chest, and I put Digital Derby on my chest. I was walking around the house going, "Oh, I'm Darth Vader," with a flowered towel, you know, a floral towel for a cape. Anyways, it's funny if you just took, like, you know, like they say, like, what's in your mind. If you took like they should do that. Somebody, and I should do this. You should take a picture of, like, Darth Vader or whatever, right? This is what Darth Vader really looked like, right? This is what your 5-year-old self thought it looked like, you know, and you put, or like Batman or whatever, and put like a floral, you know, thing behind, floral towel, you know, taped or safety pinned on there, you know, and put Digital Derby on his chest, and I said, I think for one of those Halloweens I wanted to be, it was whenever I think it was 78, when King Kong came out, the King Kong movie, which I still have the glasses, by the way, from Burger Chef, sitting in a cupboard that I rescued from my mom's basement, and I don't know if I want to drink out of them. They look a little odd in the very bottom of them, but they, you know, they've been sitting in a basement for years. But they say right in 1978, and they're the King Kong glasses, you know, that I got from, what do you call it, Burger Chef. And it's funny because my mom said, oh, he wants to be King Kong for Halloween. So I got a gorilla mask, which was a really bad gorilla mask. And then my dad had a fake fur coat. It was the 70s. And the thing was, when they put the fur coat on me, the bottom of his coat, right, would go to my ankles. And so that was my costume, was a big fur coat. It was just basically just like, I looked like Cousin It with a that was 78? When was that? That was before that. Because, no, 78 I was a Stormtrooper costume. 79 I was the Gene Simmons costume. It might have been 80. Maybe? But the movie came out in 78. The glasses I got in 78. I don't know. I'm kind of fuzzy on that. I can't remember which Halloween it was. Or maybe I did go out. Or I was going to go out, and at the last minute I decided to... Oh, you know, that's what it was. That's what it was. It was 1978. It was the... Sorry, I'm way off course here. But it was the... I wanted to be a Stormtrooper. They were sold out of the Stormtrooper costumes at Kmart's. My mom used to give permanents in the basement. She was a beautician. She had a beautician's license, and she was doing permanents in the basement every Saturday. The cartoons and the smell of permanent chemicals. Anyways, and one of the ladies, you know, who would always come and give me money. You know, she gave me a $5 bill once. Go buy yourself some Star Wars figures. Anyways, don't tell your mother. I couldn't find Star Wars figures. I ended up getting a Mazinga Shogun Warrior puzzle. But anyways, what do you call it? Sorry. Oh, she. I went out to her. I probably told this story too. She told me to go out to her car, which smelled like cigarettes, and she always smelled like more cigarettes. or Virginia Slimes or whatever they were. And anyways, I went down to her Nova or whatever she had, pea green Nova, and got this box off the front bench seat, and it was a 3CPO costume, and it smelled like, I just still remember the smell this day. It smelled like the costume, which had the weird plastic smell mixed with cigarette smoke. So whenever I think of 3CPO, I think of that cigarette smoke and that smell of that costume. But I was like, oh, it's she said it's a Star Wars costume. And in my mind, Stormtrooper, right? Or maybe Darth Vader. But I liked Stormtroopers better than Darth Vader when I was a kid. I like Ace Frehley better than Gene Simmons. Anyways, so I was like, oh, it's 3CPO. And I came inside and I acted excited. But I was like, oh, I wanted to be the Stormtrooper. My dad knew I wanted to be the Stormtrooper. I think that's when my mom said, you know what, how about you go out we got a gorilla mask and stuff, because my mom found it for probably nothing at a garage sale. And she's like, how about you be this, gorilla? I think, you know what I think it is? I remember looking at myself in the mirror in the costume, because they had a full-length mirror in their bedroom, for like dressing. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, I don't look like King Kong. I think my dad even said, he looks stupid. And then that was it. I think that's how it went. I remember, because I want to say I remember my dad carrying me in the jacket. Maybe he was just carrying me through the house. Or I went outside with it and I didn't want to. Because I remember I would put the costumes on a lot before Halloween and go play in them. Because that was a thing. But I think that's how that went out. And then I eventually got the Stormtrooper. My dad found the Stormtrooper costume. Dead in the pinch. And got the costume. I think that's how 78 Halloween went. I believe. And it could have, you know what? It could have been 7. No, because we were in the house. We moved into that house in 78 on Winry. Because we were still, Christmas, Halloween of 77, we were still back on Alice. And that might have been the year, I'm getting really young then. That might have been the year where the Batman mask got. It was either that year or the year before, but sorry, I'm way off base. Back to the handheld video games. Anyways, so Digital Derby, I think, was the first one I could remember getting, and I liked it. It was stupid, if you remember it. I mean, it was cool actually. It's like you had the little steering wheel. Let's pull up a better picture of it. So you had the little steering wheel there. You had the shifter, which had neutral. I don't know why you needed neutral, but you had neutral. First, third, second, third. I believe that it was a lap counter. Then you'd start and reset. You had the power button. So it had tape in there, just like you see. It had the tape, and the tape had the cars on it. But there was like 2 rows of tape. As you can see, there's a right lane and a left lane row of tape. And so they'd always some of the motors would not be in sync, so that it would look like different cars coming up, and your car moved. It was on that little stick in there. The thing is, if you moved into a car, it registered as a hit, and that's all there was, flash red, like you've gotten a car wreck, and then it would stop, and then it would be game over. Or actually, I don't know if you had so many lives or whatever. I know you could reset it. I think what it does is it stopped it, and then you had to reset it to count laps. And then, of course, the speed, I think when you hit the speed button, the throttle thing on the side, I think it changed the speeds of the different motors that would move the tape. And, of course, you wanted to go forward, you wanted to steer, through the little, as you can see there, get through the little area so you didn't crash into a car. I think what it would do is it would just, as long as it kept going without registering a crash, it would count a lap. And I think you weren't going for, I remember you weren't really racing for, no, they did have a timer on the top, so maybe how many laps you could get in the time. I think that's how it was. Like, this is a while ago, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went. But to me, like I said, it looks so Darth Vader looking, and it looked like something Darth Vader would wear on his chest. Anyways, as the 80s started to progress, including 80, I got this game in 80 It was called, that started Space Invaders. I wanted Space Invaders. I never had the Space Invader. A friend of mine had it. I wanted it. I got Missile Attack, and it was so beyond I couldn't figure it out. My sister read the directions, and she's like, oh, you just play it like this, and it just didn't make any sense in my mind, so I didn't really play it that much. Ended up in a garage sale, obviously, which a lot of the stuff ended up in garage sales. Or, I know Digital Derby, I think I remember I ended up destroying it. I think I ended up smashing the front of it and then pulling the tape out, because I just wanted to see how, you know, I remember I was licking the tape. All kinds of weird stuff like that. I'd smell it and then lick it, and then and my mom used to get angry at me for doing just crazy. So I used to take all kinds of her appliances apart and piss her off. What are you doing? Put that back together. I want to see how it works. Of course, I didn't know how it worked. This is the kid that, you know, I told the neighbors I was going to build a rocket ship. And I tell this story before in one of my videos. And I had a bunch of boxes that I had taped all together to make the various compartments of like this modularized spaceship. And somebody said, you need a motor. And I went in the garage, and for some reason, I don't know what it went to, but my dad had this big electric motor, almost like a starter motor for a car, but I don't think that's what it was. The cords were cut off of it and stuff. It's just there. I don't know why. I probably wasn't even my dad's. It was probably in the garage when we bought the house. I grabbed the motor, and I go to one of the empty boxes. I go, thud. There you go. It's got a motor. I thought that would work. Yeah, so like I said, as the years went by, these games started to come out, and obviously, you know, some of the first games weren't really games. I remember I had a Speak and Spell. I remember I got it at a garage. A lot of this stuff I got at a garage sale, because again, this stuff was expensive. So finding this stuff at garage sales, there, you know, in the spring, there's the whole block was filled with garage sales, and you get Speak and Spells and Digital Derbies and all kinds of stuff. Kaboom. A lot of people selling Kaboom. Anyways, I got this picture. I was looking for the key to it, and of course, you know, this is the internet, and people are stupid, and they don't know how to actually, you know, cite anything, because internet. Because stupid people. That's why it's like, oh, I'm just going to put an image up there, and I'm not going to say where it came from, because I'm stupid. So anyways, but I wish it would give the names. So some of these I remember seeing, but I don't know what the names of them were. Does anybody remember this thing? Wasn't that called it was an owl, wasn't it? Wasn't it just called the owl calculator or something? I don't know. I can't remember that one. Actually, I guess I could look it up. Let's look that up real quick. Sorry. I still have where I was downloading stuff. It was an owl calculator. Oh, calculator. Haha. 1977. Oh, The Little Professor. That's what it was called. The Little Professor. There it is. Yep. So did anybody have The Little Professor? I'm going to save a picture. If it will let me in my... I'll see. I like to have the box, just because I like to see the box. Let's see. Of course, it'll be a work file. Oh, no, it's actually a JPEG. Hey, go figure. Usually, whenever you want a photograph, you usually find the best photograph in the world, and it's a work file, or it's some weird JPEG that's alien JPEG. Alright, so we solved that. The Little Professor. I did have a lot of people had The Little Professor. That was one of the ones. Hey, and I just remember, it's like, you know what I thought was cool about calculators? I don't know if anybody else did this with calculators, is you'd hit like 1 plus equals and just keep hitting equals, and it would just count by ones. Or you hit like, oh, 5. It was 5 times equals, and then you just keep hitting 5, and it would just, or was it? No, plus equals, keep hitting 5, it would just start counting 5, 10, 15, 20. If you hit 5 times equals, it would go 5 times 5, 25, and then 25 times 25 is 500? I can't remember what it is. Anyways, no, it'd be 750, right? Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if that's right, but I don't have my my little professor here to do the work for me. Although I got a calculator on my phone. Let me just see if the phone calculator does that real quick. Again, this right here has replaced all of this, so of course I am talking about antiquated technology, but this stuff was so cool as a kid. It was just always like let's see, so 5 times equals, invalid format used. It won't let you do that like it did on the old show. Or you'd write, I don't care what it was. It was 43770 upside down. It was hello, or you leave out the O. It's hell ass. Remember that? You do that like that. And you go say to the kid look at it and you go, because you're looking at it upside down, and you go hello, ha ha ha. Fun with calculators back then. Anyways, I probably won't get into the calculator watch. I got a story behind that one that has to do with that Pac-Man watch. Anyways, here's another one. It's just got a whole bunch of them. I gotta say, Simon. I was never a big Simon fan. It was too hard, and I just didn't like it. I know everybody, that was like the game, the Simon game, but I don't even think we actually had a Simon, because I didn't want one. It's like, I don't like it. I played it at a friend's house, and it's like, it goes too fast, I don't like it. But I did have, well, there's the baseball game. So that baseball game sat at my grandma's house on the little table next to the chair there for years. I think every time I go to my grandma's house, I'd sit down and it would be sitting there. And it was probably my cousin Scott, would probably figure it out. He found a AC adapter because the 9-volt in it went dead, and he plugged it into a 9-volt adapter because for some reason, just for no apparent reason, a 9-volt adapter just showed up. Scott, if you see this video, let me know in the comments. Did you put the 9-volt on that? Because it just materialized out of nowhere, and it worked. It was a little shaky, so I don't think it was the exact size, but it did keep it charged or on for a little while. And that thing sat next to that. I think it was still there when they destroyed the house after she passed away, when we sold it. Yeah, well, actually, no, we went and cleared out the house, but I don't know what happened. It might be in my mom's basement. She probably sold it in the garage sale after that, I don't know. But that game was there forever, well, up until 2007, probably, since the 80s. And as you always sit down, you always hit that home run. You get the double, you get the triple, you get the single. You'd strike out, and you'd play all, 9 innings on it. It was so much fun. I didn't have the football one. The football one I didn't get the football one, but the baseball one was pretty self-explanatory. But I really liked the baseball one. Remember, these had little lights, little LED lights that would, most of the stuff was LED lights that would be the actual game itself. Another big game, of course, was now this was technically my sister's, but this would have been 1981. This was 1982 when I got Dark Tower, which is, for all intents and purposes, if you just played with the tower, it was a handheld video game all into itself, but it was supposed to be for the board game. But I had Dark Tower, my sister got Merlin, and I used to play it all the time, and it had little games on it. The coolest game to play on it, I thought, was just Tic-Tac-Toe, and that was when I discovered the winning formula for Tic-Tac-Toe, meaning that it's hard. Okay, let's see if I can do it with the mouse, but always go in the middle. If you go first, always go in the middle, right? If anybody goes in any of these spots, meaning not the corners, right? You've won every time. They could never beat you, because if you went there, they went there, right? You would go here, right? They would have to go there to block you, right? You'd go here. They'd have to go there to block you. You won. Like I said, it doesn't matter which direction you go, but as long as you go first and the other player goes in this space, this space, this space, or this space, basically the adjacent space, not the diagonal spaces, the 4 corners. Ignore these other 2 dots over here. You'd always win. If you went there and they went there, you lost the game, or it's just a draw. If you went, usually it's a draw. If you don't go first and they go first, it's usually always a draw. But you have to go first, and they have to go in one of these spots. You'll always win as long as you pay attention to what you're doing. You'll always win. You'll never lose. And I learned that from this game. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Basically, this one's like when you hit the button, it would light up red, as you can see on the box. And then they had new games. You had if you want to play the same game again. The computer's turn if you're doing like a, back and forth. But it's called Merlin, and like I said, technically it was my sister's, but it was kind of both of ours. Like I said, I got a speak and spell. Got it from I got it like late in the game too. Like every kid had a speak and spell because their parents loved them. My parents didn't. So I ended up getting a speak and spell from a garage sale like late in the game, like in like 1980. Everybody had it in like 78. I got mine in 80. The big game for me though, which was like, woo, it was 1983. We got the Coleco Vision, remember? And also made by Coleco were these. These little things are here. Like I said, they're very similar to this, which is Galaga. I want to still get a couple more of these, but I'd like to get the Street Fighter one. They have a teeny little Street Fighter one, but anyways, they came out with these, and they had. I remember my sister; she wanted Frogger because that was her favorite game. And then they had the Pac-Man game, of course, which I never got the Pac-Man. I wanted it, but then I kind of wanted it, and then a kid that I knew, the one kid, the Return of the Jedi friend, he ended up having that, or his family had it. It wasn't just his; it was like his sisters and brothers too. But the one I ended up getting was Donkey Kong, or as my sister called it, Donkey Plong. So I had Donkey Plong, and I loved that game. And it's like I said, I don't know how if I hear the music, and I would put my face like right up to it. I'd lay on the carpet on the floor, and I'd put my face right in there, so I had like no peripheral. So I'm just staring right in there at the screen, and I would play. And I could smell batteries. I could smell electronics and batteries, probably cooking. I could smell cube steak, because Dad was making cube steak, and all I can hear in my back of my head was the Channel 7 news. You remember that thing? I don't remember Channel 7 in the Detroit area. They had this Channel 7 news. They had like this, I don't know what the hell the sound was. It was like, it was a weird sound when they showed the Channel 7, the old set, the old cardboard set that they'd have before everything went super insano, technologically advanced. Yeah, I could hear, or my dad was listening to, watching Tic-Tac-Dough. Get the Tic-Tac and get the dough. And then they'd always call the what do you call it? The Wink Martindale was the game show host. My dad always called him Wink the Dink. Hey, Wink the Dink, son! Or Joker's Wild. But anyways, you always hear the game shows, it'd always smell like Salisbury steak, because you'd be eating Salisbury steak, Salisbury steak, corn, and Hungry Man instant mashed potatoes. That was a lot. I ate a lot of that dinner, which to this day I still love, although it's horrendous for you. And cube steak now is more money than regular steak sometimes. Like, the whole point of cube steak was to be cheap. Now, because of meat inflation, it's expensive. Anyways, you can get ground, but you can't get cube steak for cheaper. You used to be able to get like a pound of cube steak for like $2. Now a pound of cube steak's like $9. Why? Anyways, but yeah, cube steak, corn, canned whole corn, or creamed corn. Oh yeah, creamed corn. Hungry Man instant potatoes, instant mashed potatoes. Smell of burning electronics, the smell of the carpet, which always had Glade, because the dog would always shit on the carpet. My dad would beat the hell out of the dog, and then he'd end up try to clean it up and spray the carpet with Glade. So then you'd have that smell. Glade in the very slight aroma of dog shit, and what do you call it? And Wink the Dink Martindale in the background. That was 1983. Anyways, of course, in '82, I wanted this. I never got it. I wanted it. And one neighbor kid had it. I wanted the Tron game. There's the light cycle game, and then you could. It was like it was. I think it was a multi-game. I don't know if it was a multi-game. Did it say multi-game? But the whole point was you drive the light cycles, and you try to knock off the other light cycle into the thing. And then I remember, I think once you got through or you won the light cycle, then you had to try to throw your disc. Because you'd run up the side and you'd throw your disc. I thought it was a multi-game. And you throw your disc and the other guy would catch it. And then you throw your disc and try to get it in the MCP. That's what she said. Anyway, that's what she said. Sorry. But yeah, I always wanted the Tron game. Never got the Tron game. Wanted it so bad. Neighbor kid had it. Another game I really, really wanted, but I know it was a good thing I didn't get, and this would have been probably 1981, 1982, was the Dungeons & Dragons computer fantasy game. I don't know if everybody had this. This game was not fun. It was a cool concept. It looked neat. I thought, like, oh, I really want that thing. I mean, when I get obsessed about stuff as a kid, I would just, like, a glazed, serial killer look in my face, and it would be like my brain, even though it couldn't do math and I couldn't read and I was stupid, I would still be doing like this computer computation in my head of how in the hell can I con somebody or come up with some bullshit story or make something up or lie or steal or find some possible way to obtain this thing. And I was just going over scenarios in my head. Basically, I probably should have. If I had balls, I probably would have became a professional criminal. But apparently, I'm too scared of prison and getting raped, so I never wanted to. I never wanted to, become a professional criminal. But I definitely had the mind for it as a kid, because I definitely got in trouble for a lot of harebrained schemes I came up with. But yeah, I wanted this, had to have it, but never got it. Did I even get it late? No, I don't think I ever got it late. I don't even really know anybody had one. No, actually, no, I take it back. One kid had one. That's when I discovered, oh, I don't get it. They don't show the screen there, but it was a game, all right. Let's just put it that way. It was a game. What's another one here? There's this Pac-Man game. I never had any of this. The only Pac-Man I had was this Pac-Man watch. So here was, I don't have a picture of it. Well, let me see if I can pull it up. I'm gonna say 1982 Pac-Man watch. Bam! There it is, right there. Bam. Oh god. That's it. That is it. So, and here was the actual watch. Is that a good picture of it? I'm just trying to find some good pictures of it to throw in there. Let's put the one on the guy's wrist. Anyways, so with this watch, again, we went to Lakeside Mall. We were in Sears. There was a table set up in the middle of Sears, and the guy was selling these. I'm assuming, I don't know if it was I'm assuming Sears was selling, or just the guy who set up like a private vendor. You know, like they do outside of malls? This guy did it in Sears. Anyway, so we go to the mall, and he's got this watch, and it was $49.99. I don't know what are they selling for now? $325 on eBay. Look at that. Woo! Anyways, it was $49.99, which is crazy expensive. I think that the Donkey Kong, I think, was like $29.99. I think probably the most expensive game here might have been maybe Merlin. or maybe the Tron game. But I only think I think Merlin was like $30. None of them were like 50, but that watch was $50, and I had to have it. Like I said, the criminal mind started going. I had to figure out a way to get it. So, anyways, I didn't speak about it. My dad wouldn't buy it. He's like, I'm not spending that kind of money on that thing. But Dad was the way in. He would eventually get him to crack somehow. And so I came home from school one day, shortly thereafter going to the mall, and said, Dad, my teacher wants us, this is Mrs. Kilway by the end, in 4th grade. I said, my teacher, Mrs. Kilway, wants us to get calculators and bring them to school, and I want to get a calculator watch, so I could, because I didn't have a watch anyway. I said, I want a watch with a calculator on it. He's like, oh, all right. And I said, can we get that Pac-Man watch? And he's like, well, it's not a calculator watch. I go, yeah, it is. He goes, no, it's not. And I said, yeah, it's supposed, it does, you can do math on it, too. Remember the guy said, I'm totally bullshitting. Like, remember the guy said he could do math on it? He's like, I don't remember that. So, my dad would be like, dude, I'm not going to argue with you. We'll talk about it later. That was my dad's thing to say. We're not going to argue about it. I'll talk about it later. That usually means he's starting to open up. And then, so anyways, he picked me up from school one day and said, hey, we're going out to the mall. And we'll look at that watch. And so we went out to the mall, looked at the watch. The guy was there still. This was like maybe like 4 or 5 days later from initially seeing it. Anyways, my dad says, my son said he can do math on that. And the guy's like, no, you can't. And I go, yeah, you can. He's like, no, you can't. Actually, you can't play and do math on it. And I said, I know you can do math on it. So anyways, I guess my dad bought it anyways. Spent the $50. I got the watch. I came to school and I had to flex, of course, as the kids say nowadays. I had to show all the kids, look at what I got. Look at what I got. Nanner boost on. Look at what I got, right? And it's like all the kids wanted to be my friend because I had something cool, right? They don't want to be my friend. They just want to be my friend to play whatever toy I got. Anyway, so, and I felt like a big shot. And until Mrs. Kilway told my dad, you can't bring that watch anymore to school because it's too much of a distraction. And I remember my dad, I was sitting on the carpet on the floor, probably after Salisbury steak during tic-tac-toe. My dad goes, that watch doesn't do doesn't do math, does it? And I go, no, Dad, it doesn't. He goes, you lied to me. And I go, yeah, I really wanted the watch. He goes, I know you did. And then, of course, my dad just gave me a look. I kept the watch, but that was the relationship I had with my dad. But usually he'd get drunk and then take the thing away or throw it in a river or try to kill the dog, one or the other. He had he had his ways to make me pay for it, emotionally. But anyways, where are we going now here? Wildfire. I remember it coming out, right? And I got the game, and for some reason, I told everybody that there was a game called Tilt. I don't know if you remember Tilt, right? It was a real arcade game called Tilt. And I kept telling everybody that again, I make up stories all the time. I told everybody, I said, hey, I got the Tilt game. And they're like, what? And I go, yeah, I got the Tilt game. Like the arcade game? Yeah, I got it. And they're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, I got it. Really, I got it. Let's see it. I'm going to go over to your house and see it. Okay. Then we get over there. That's what I had. I had Wildfire. And they go, that's not Tilt, that's Wildfire. Tilt's like a full-size game. I said, I didn't say it was a full-size game. I said it was, I just said I had Tilt. Oh, man, Tilt, Wildfire, it's all the same thing, isn't it? He's like, no, it's not the same thing. I had a lot of conversations like that where kids where I would try to, I'd be purposely, I was a sociopath. I was a little sociopath. I was a crazy kid. But yeah, I had ways of trying to trick people, and I was just trying to trick people into being my friends. And it didn't work a lot. So I didn't have a lot of friends. But anyways, I'm trying to find some of the other games. The bowling game, yeah. Some of these, there's Wildfire there. The Quiz Whiz. I didn't have a lot of these. This bowling game, that's not a good picture. Let's go back to the other picture. There's the football game. Oh, there was Blockbuster. I never had it. I don't know if I remember Blockbuster. I just thought of a game. What was the game? So did I save a picture of it? I don't see it here. Did I cover everything here so far? Look, remember there was Space Invaders. Neighbor had it. Okay, before I get into this, I never had this horse race analyzer, but it made me think of another game that I cannot find, and I think this is like really looking for a needle in a haystack online. But before that, does anybody remember, this might have been a little later in the 80s, what was that game? It was like you put it up and you could see inside it, and it was all vector graphic, or at least vector graphics or LEDs or whatever, and then it had like a little thing on top that I think would like, I don't know if it was solar power or what it was, it would like suck in light or something, and it was like a ViewMaster, but what the heck was that thing called? Let's go with 80s handheld electronic game. Let's go 3D. I think it was supposed to be 3D. There it is. Yeah. Well, I remember. Oh, there. Yeah. Right there. Tomitronic 3D. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Does anybody remember Tomitronic 3D? It's going to be a work file. Yep. Told you it's a work file. Yeah, I remember the red one. I think they're red and a blue one, but I see. Oh, there's the blue one. Yep, Tomitronic 3D. I ended up getting this. I traded somebody for this game. I had the red one. I didn't. Ooh, the black one's cool. I wanted the. It was one of those things where it's like I was more impressed by what the game looked like than the actual game. Like I wanted to have the game. Look at this guy's collection. Oh god damn it! That's Astro Wars. Oh, I gotta tell my friend. Sorry. We're having one of these same conversations I'm having with you people now. And I said, what was that game you had? And he goes, I can't remember. And I go, remember you had it? Remember? I almost lost my mind. Please, like Truxton? I go, he goes, that was on the Sega Genesis. And I go, no. It was when I first moved out for the first time, moved in with some buddies, my roommates. And my one friend had this game right here, Astro Wars. And it was one of those games. And I remember just losing my ever-loving mind playing this thing. What was that, real quick, by the way? Oh, the Battlestar Galactica game, which is the same as the missile game, yeah. Yep, I remember that. I said I had the missile game, I just didn't like it because I couldn't figure it out. I also had like a Periscope game, too. Sorry, this is how I do things when I'm not ready to make a video, but I only have so much time to make a video, so I'm going to make the video. But that's the game right there. Astro Wars. Astro Wars electronic game. That's it. That is the game. I have to tell my buddy. I figured out what the game's called. It's called Astro Wars. This is going to be a work file. Oh, it's a JPEG. Woo! Yep, there was the game right there. Let's see if this will show up better. Grab a couple of pictures of it. I like that kind of picture too, where you can see the game. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I didn't know this existed until whenever it was, 1993 when I moved in with my buddies after graduating. Actually, a couple years after graduating. But yeah, that was the game. Oh, so was it the same company that made the Grandstand? Yeah, I think they made the Pac-Man game too. I might have seen it, and it didn't put two and two together. But yeah, that was definitely a cool game. But I didn't have it back at that time period. I played this way later. We're getting a pretty good collection of pictures here going of the stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Merlin, this little guy, Speak and Spell, the Pac-Man Watch, the Donkey Kong game, the baseball game, Wildfire. Welfare was pretty fun. I remember playing that a lot. That was just an all-around good game. It was a pinball game. But, wanted the Tron game. But wasn't there more than one Tron? I thought there was like a whole series of those. Maybe not. Oh, there was the Zaxxon. I didn't have it, wanted it, never got it. It was the Zaxxon electronic game. Zaxxon. There it is right there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That thing. 1983, yeah. I'm pretty sure it came out right when the game came out. But yeah, that was a cool game, was the Zaxxon game. Remember I told you about my Zaxxon ColecoVision story. Oh, there's a picture of it. I always like getting a picture of the box, too. Like I said, of course it's a Word file, because to me the box is part of it. And now, there's Galaxian. I vaguely remember that. I always remembered it as Galaga. I think Galaxian came out first, like in like 79, and then like 80 or 81 Galaga came out, which was the follow-up. But I don't remember. Maybe I saw Galaxian. It's pretty much the same game. I remember I saw Galaxian in a store, maybe. I can't remember. Okay, so the game I'm thinking of, and we'll probably end on this one, and there's no way I can do a... won't be able to find it, because I've tried, and it's just too hard to find. Okay, so this is another... This one didn't... This is another story. This is another game I got in trouble with, but not with my dad. With a girl. Jennifer Weed. Anyways, I was in 3rd grade. Yeah, 3rd grade. Okay, so let me tell the girl story first. So, I don't know if you've ever had like a new kid in your class start like later on. But anyways, we'd have a couple. We had like Hung, the Korean kid from Korea, Hung Ju, that was his name. He ended up like starting in 4th grade, like came in like halfway through the year. So anyways, I remember sitting in Mrs. Bohannick's 3rd grade class, and anyways, we're sitting in. Actually, we were next door at the other teacher's class, because we'd go over to do social studies. We got to learn about the Pueblo Indians, because that's what every kid should know about. It's Pueblo Indians. We spent a lot of time on the Pueblo Indians. Anyways, you're over there learning about the Pueblos, and anyways, and Mrs. Bohannick comes in, because the two classrooms are attached by that little like room, like that auxiliary fishbowl room with the 2 bathrooms. And she comes in, she says, "Oh, we have a new student." Actually, that's not how Mrs. Bohannick talked. Mrs. Bohannick was more like this. And she said, "We got a new student." And it was this girl, and it was just like, oh, she was beautiful. And when I was a kid, I was just like did the crazy thing with the hearts in the eyes. I was in love with this girl, Jennifer Weed. This is before I knew what weed was. I was thinking like a weed in the water, not that kind of weed. But anyways, I was like, oh, I gotta get to know her somehow. Again, criminal mind started concocting an idea. Couldn't think of an idea yet, and then my dad. This is one of those things where it's like I wasn't planning on doing this. It just kind of worked out this way. So. We went to Jacobson's, which I don't know if anybody remembers the story I talked about. Jacobson's department store, Rochester. It was at the Great Oaks Mall. There it is, right there. Remember that place I was telling you about? Like, remember you walk into Kittyland and the other stuff. You'd walk by the Great Oaks Mall, and there was Jacobson's. It's not there anymore. There's the whole mall's gone, because everything's gone. Remember, everything that I love and hold dear to my heart's been destroyed and killed. So, thank you, Rochester. Thank you, rich people from Rochester, for destroying my childhood. I blame you for everything. But anyways, so there was Jacobson's, right? And we went to Jacobson's. I don't know why, because my dad rarely ever went to the Great Oaks Mall. He didn't like the Great Oaks Mall. But we went there for some reason. And we walked through, they had like a little electronics section in there. Jacobson's kind of reminded me of like it's like a mix between like a service it wasn't Montgomery Ward. I don't know, it's hard to describe. It wasn't big, as you can see, but it did have 2 floors, because that was the second floor down here. When you went around the back, the parking lot goes down. Look at that Nova. Bug car, little MG. Anyways, you can go in that way too. So it had 2 floors. That was the main floor at the front of the place where there's Walton Boulevard's out there. And then the back parking lot came down here. And if you went down this parking lot to this area, that's where you go through the fence, you go through Great Oaks apartment complex, and you can eventually get down to Wilcox, to my mom's house down there by my grandma's house. But anyways, so we're at Jacobson's, and we're going through like the like electronic section area. I don't know what my dad was looking for. And anyways, they had these games, and it was like, where pocket calculators, which were new at the time, where you had like the little, folder, the little like fake leather, plasticky folder with the calculator in it, liquid LED. Sometimes they're solar powered, and you open it up, and the whole point was like, your dad would have his calculator to keep with his checkbook and stuff, right? So it's about yay big. It's this little game, and what it had in it was a racing game. So they had the little LED racetrack, and it was like in sections. And the thing was, and you had a little car on it, and the steering wheel were buttons, like little calculator buttons. And you had I remember you hit the one button, hold it down for the gas pedal, and you had a brake pedal. And then you'd hit the steering wheel buttons for like that upper left was to make the car turn. I think if you hit the lower right, it would turn really hard, like a hard turn, like a half turn, hard turn. Same thing as a half turn, hard turn. So like you could do a half turn and kind of go out to the outside lane. You could do a hard turn and pull on the inside lane. And then same thing kind of with Digital Derby. If you ran into cars, it would set you back. I think it would like blink your car and move you back. But it was just so cool looking, and it wasn't that expensive, which is weird because Jacobson's kind of a high-end store. And I said to my dad, Dad, I really want that. And he's like, all right. So we got it. It must have only been like $10 or something. I mean, it was still money back then, but it wasn't like a $50 game. Not like the watch. And so I got the game, and I took it to school the next day, and I was trying to impress Jennifer Reed with it. And she's like, oh, that's cool. I said, when we go out on recess, we could play it. She's like, oh, yeah, let's do that. And so we had this tube. It was an old sewer, it wasn't old, but it was like cement sewer in the playground where it's like, and it was half covered in sand and dirt, right? So so you could kind of like, you could walk up this little dirt hill and go over the tube, and at the 2 ends it was open, and you could crawl through it. It was a pretty long tube. It was probably about 20 feet long. And there was a hole in the top on one of them, I remember. People would throw sand in, where the sun would come through, and you'd throw up sand, and you'd see it would show the light. But a lot of kids that was like the kissing tube, where you go into the kissing tube, right? I never got to kiss anybody in the kissing tube. I tried to kiss Jennifer Reed in the kissing tube. Went horribly wrong. But anyways, I think I tried to kiss Marta in the kissing tube too, and she gave me a look. Anyways, Margaret Harper I tried to kiss. That was Marta's friend. I think she hit me. Anyways, we're in the tube, because you could like lay against the tube the inside, and we're laying shoulder to shoulder, and she's playing the game, and I'm thinking like, I got my first girlfriend. And then I told everybody I had a girlfriend, right? And then she got really mad at me. She goes, you were just playing your game. We're not, you're not my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And of course, and then I think I got hit by somebody for being a jerk. Yeah, it was all because of that game. But anyways, I can't find that game. I don't think it wasn't like an exclusive thing. I want to say maybe it was by, Timex was a big company. Timex Digital Racing Game. Let's see if that brings up anything. Yeah, see, it's going to bring up like new stuff. I think Racing Watch. 80s? I mean, it was essentially the same technology as, you know, like a watch. I had that watch. Oh, no, it was a Pac-Man watch. No, it wasn't that watch. I guess all the Timex watches kind of... Yeah, it was more like... Nah, this is Pac-Man. I had a watch with the blue like that, but it wasn't the Pac-Man watch. Was that it? I think it was more like that. I don't think it glowed, though. Timex watches, of course, were a big thing. They were cheap watches, but they were digital. This is going to drive me crazy. Sorry, I won't keep you on this forever here. So let's just... If you guys know what I'm talking about, help me out here. Timex, digital racing game in the 80s. Maybe not Timex, maybe Pocket. Digital racing game in the 80s. See, it's going to bring up Digital Derby all the time. That's what I was having this problem before. Oh, that thing. Split Second. Never had it. Saw it in a lot of garage sales. We never got it. Oh, there's that game again. Pocket. Calculator style? Calculator style. I mean, it was... You know what I'm talking about, though, with like the little, yeah, there's Isaac Asimov. Yeah, it... Oh, let's try, wallet. Digital, like a wallet game. Like a Pocket wallet. Ah, come on. Ah, for the love of... I can't type. Pocket wallet game. Yeah, see, I'd have to know more about it because who knows? I mean, it could have just... Like I said, Jacobson's was not a normal store. And, oh, sorry. I am going to do a video on these sometime, but you guys remember these? Remember the... Oh, they're... Oh, ringtone. Okay, let's just save a picture of that for now. But, of course, it's a... What do you call it? But I was going to do a whole video on these things. Oh my goodness. I drank a lot of that water. But, oh God, it's driving me crazy. I'm never going to find this game. But yeah, it was like, I was trying to think of like a pocket folding calculator. Or I can't spell calculator. Let it spell it for me. So yeah, it was like the, you know, the count the little, it would unfold. Pocket folding calculator, racing game. And it was like silver and blue. I know that the game itself. I think all the buttons were like a dark, like almost like a navy blue, and the rest of the game was silver. Yeah, it's not going to be found. So that's what I've got so far. If you guys can think of any of these handheld games and remember any of them, so put them in the. You can put links in too. Put links in the comments and let me know if you guys can remember any of these. I know there's more than what I'm talking about. Obviously, like. You know, there's like I said, there was a missile, like a torpedo submarine game one that was like gray but that big and had the little handles on it. And I think you held it up like something like that. I don't think you put your eyes to it. I can't remember, but there was, and you would shoot the missile up, and you had it was like the ship would come over, and you had to time the missile to hit the ship. There's that one. I can't think of anything that's coming off the top of my head. I mean, there were those Coleco Arcade games. There were a lot of these. But like I said, this is what we had before, obviously before we had these. But this is also what we had before we had console games, or in conjunction with, meaning the Atari was out at this time, ColecoVision, obviously, Intellivision, the Odyssey. Most of these games came out, I want to say, pre-1985. so the beginning of the 80s. I mean, they still. I mean, I think they still actually make them today. I know there's like a Street Fighter one or Double Dragon one, like in the 90s, or maybe late 80s. But most of the games I'm talking about here all were I want to say pre 85, like 79 to like 84 ish. Most of these came out, and there were inexpensive ways that you could play arcade games at home. And obviously they were great for going on trips. You take the summer trip up to Houghton Lake in Michigan, which I'm not that far from Houghton Lake today because I am up north Michigan. Going up north. Anyways, we used to go on our vacations and stuff, and you'd be in the back of the AMC Eagle there, covered in blankets and suitcases, and you'd have your pillow and your blanket, your sleeping bag laying against like a giant suitcase or whatever, because the trunk was filled with shit too. So and you'd sit there and you'd have the window open and you'd be on the expressway doing a cool, comfortable 55 miles an hour, because you can't drive 55 anyways, and you'd be playing your little handheld game and hope that the batteries didn't go out, as you had a 3-hour drive to go up north. That was a thing. Obviously now, like my son, he'll sit in the back of the car when we go on trips, and he's got his tablet out and he's listening to YouTube, or he's playing whatever is Geometry Dash. All that stuff's kind of today, but it's all been taken over by the tablet and the cell phone. So there's no real need to have these dedicated games. But the thing what was cool about them, though, not only was it sort of fun. I mean, they weren't really over, like even the Donkey Kong game or like Wildfire. They were fun. They would keep you entertained for a couple of hours, but they weren't like super fun. So when you got like your first ColecoVision or Atari and stuff, that was always better. But you were kind of landlocked to the TV with that one. These are portable, so you could play them outside, and you could never see in the summer because the sun would be over your head and you couldn't see anything. But that's kind of what we had back then, and they were fun. But like I said, they weren't like super fun. They were just kind of like enough to pat. Like, I'm sick of watching TV. I don't want to go outside and play. It's raining out, or it's snowing out. It's cold, and I don't want to play with my action figures because I'm bored. I've already pissed off the dog or the cat, so it's going to bite me or scratch me if I go mess with the pet. So you can't screw with the pet anymore. What's left to do? Besides eat, go grab some push-ups and sit there and eat push-ups all day. It's like you had to find something to do. And these games you could just quiet, you could sit on a couch, sit in a chair, sit on the floor, or sit in your bedroom in your bed, and you'd play these games. And like I said, they were entertaining you, but they weren't like I said, they were never crazy. But they're not crazy entertaining. But for me, it was always more about getting it. That was the fun part. It was like the thrill of the hunt, the chase of getting the game, and how to con your parents into getting it for you. That was the fun part. And it's like electronic games. It always seemed like it was like sophisticated, or you got something. You got an electronic game. That was like getting something. It wasn't just getting a toy, or whatever. Getting electronic anything back then, anything you put batteries in was like a big deal. Whether it was a radio-controlled car, whether it was like one of these, anything you put batteries in for some reason to me was like a big deal. Even getting like the X-Wing or the Millennium Falcon and putting the battery in, make that noise. I mean, even that was a big deal. So, electric things was a big deal back then. Anything game-related, too, was always fun. But, like I said, for me, it was the mystique of it was more fun than the actual, activity of playing it. Some were better than others. Some totally blew. Like I said, I couldn't figure out the missile attack one. I just couldn't figure the game out. Some of the other ones were just like I never had the Dungeons and Dragons one, but it's a good thing because it was boring. I think the baseball game I played a lot of because it lasted the longest. And the Donkey Kong game I played an awful lot of. Merlin I played an awful lot of. That was probably the three main games that I played the most. I think the game that, outside of the missile game, I think the other games that kind of just got collected dust was, I played Wildfire a lot. I like that game. Actually, to tell you the truth, most of my games that I actually had, I got the 3D game, but that was later, and the 3D game was like, I want to say like 84, 85, right around there. Maybe 83 or 84. Again, but I got it like late in a garage sale, or no, not a garage sale, I traded it. We never had a Simon because I didn't want one, and I don't think my sister had one. Now that I think about it, most of the games we had didn't just collect it. We played them. A lot. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of them, though. But alright, so I'll end you there because I've just hit an hour. For some reason, I'm having deja vu, like I already did this video before, but I know I've talked about video games, obviously, a lot. I've talked about the 80s. And here's the one thing I want to say before I leave. I've talked about... all of this stuff is kind of like it was trendy. These were the trends. And you wanted to stay on the hip tip. You wanted to stay relevant, right? But really when it comes down to it, I don't really like video games. I like them to some extent, but I mean, it was more like a thing. It was like, ooh, I want to get the new fancy flashing light thing, or the new popular thing, or the new cool thing. And I played them. Like I said, I had fun, but I didn't have like, it wasn't like the end-all, be-all of the universe. And, but I really didn't, like I said, today it's like, I play Fortnite with my son, and we play games like that, play Minecraft. There's certain games, some games I like to play, obviously, like the Warhammer stuff, but I'm not a huge gamer. I'm not addicted to video games. I'm not like one of those people that's got to have them all. The video games themselves, to me, are just like an extra accessory that you just kind of happen to have. Like some people, it defines their existence. Like they are gamers, and that's their identity. And and then they especially people collect like retro games, especially like Nintendo 64 games. So there's people that are like, that's their identity is video games, and I'm not like that. It's just a side accessory for me that I kind of sort of mess with, muck about, and have some fun when I'm bored or have time, or I'm sick of doing other things. It was never, unless I just got the game. If I just got the game, yes, I was raring to go. That's all I wanted to do is play with the game for a little while. But within days, hours, maybe weeks, that novelty would wear off quick, and I would just go back to whatever else. So I was never a huge gamer. Like I said, I just liked them as a peripheral. Obviously, I was way more into action figures, and of course, I got way more into comic books. So yeah, that's, all my action, like the Transformers, watch my Transformers video to tell you how insane I was about that stuff. That stuff I was more passionate for than the games. Because one thing about the games, though, is the games can be hard. And when I was a kid, I didn't like to lose. That made me angry. And when you play games and you lose, my emotional stunted, mentally retarded self would end up just losing my shit and just beating the shit out of the game, throwing it across the room, getting angry, blood pressure. No wonder I have high blood pressure today. But I get so angry playing the games, and I didn't like to be like that, and it was uncomfortable, and the adrenaline hurt. Like the adrenaline surge you get from that literally made me, I couldn't breathe. So and I knew that as a kid, even though I keep going back like an idiot, but I knew that as a kid, so I think my unconscious self probably tried to avoid getting too heavily into it because of just, I knew how crazy I would get, and I didn't like to get like that because it'd scare off people, or I'd get in trouble, or it had a lot of negative consequences. Obviously, losing your anger, outbursts of anger would have a lot of negative people don't like to be around people that are losing their mind like that. They might like to laugh at them on a video or laugh at them at afar at their expense. Those people are douchebags and sociopaths in and of themselves. But really, people, it's a quick way to really turn off people and scare people away is to get very angry very quick. And playing games, especially if it's a social game where you're playing around other people and you get that angry, that's a surefire way to scare people off. So I know I'm like that, so I try to avoid doing activities that bring that out of me. I was that way with music for a while, just trying to learn music. I'd get so angry that I couldn't learn like a bass line or a guitar line or something. I would lose my shit. I don't do that nowadays. Nowadays, I'm getting better at the guitar. I mean, I've only been playing it for over 30 years. Hopefully I'm getting better. I have more of a tolerance for it now, and I do have somewhat more of a tolerance lately of the video games. Although Fortnite still will make me go crazy. The 2 controllers I have for my PlayStation. I think I've had like 4 controllers because I've rage destroyed 2 of them. So there's that. So that's how I am on video games. But I like the nostalgia about it. Like I said, I like all of the mystique and the stuff that's all about it. Just like books. I tell you as a kid, I loved all the hoopla about books, but I didn't like to read because I couldn't very well. I mean, I could, but I couldn't very well. And actually, there's a point where I really couldn't at all. But when I started to sort of learn, I just had such a poor reading ability, poor comprehension, that it might as well have been like I couldn't read. So I know I keep bringing that up in every video, but I'm just saying that's the type of stuff it was. Is me being a very impatient kid and not very smart kid. Well, at least not smart in a traditional sense, but smart in probably, like I said, in a criminal way. Or in an entrepreneurial way, because like I said, I would also find legitimate ways to make money as a kid and be on the up and up. I wasn't always thinking criminal. I was thinking also entrepreneurially, or So, anyways, I'll let you guys go. Talk your ear off on that one. I will see you on the next video. I don't know when it's going to post. I still have a couple in the kitty. Going away for the weekend to my mom's with my son. My sister's coming in town for Easter, so we'll be away for that. So I don't know, whatever the next. I'm not really planning these videos anymore on specific days. If I record a video, I post it. I usually don't post on the weekends. Sometimes I do. I just post the videos whenever. I'm not really having a set schedule, and I record maybe about 4 or 5 a week ish, somewhere around there. So I will catch you later. Like and subscribe. Like I said, let me know. Tell me in the comments any of these games you had or stuff you remember, stuff I didn't mention. Links are great. Always give me links to stuff, even if it's just a link to a Google search, or names of things. And remember, try to cite things so I can actually figure them out. Don't just send me a link or a video or a picture or whatever, and I have no idea how to get, it doesn't even have a name, but like I said, try to give me as much information as I can so I can kind of build these little collections of things, especially from the 80s. Alright, so I'll catch you on the next one, and take care. Bye-bye.